ID. So you 5 at the door. All right, you good? You go inside.
Welcome to 5 at the Door. I've got Ben from A Place for Owls. What's up, my guy?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very good. Now, before we started talking about this, I had asked if you had been on a podcast before, and you told me what?
I was on a fan-run Switchfoot podcast.
Now, I have to listen to this, but give me kind of a breakdown of like the structure of that podcast, because that sounds very interesting to me.
So we mostly talked, the format of the podcast is talking about a song from Switchfoot that you really like. I talked about the song More Than Fine, and then there was like maybe 5-10 minutes at the end where they were like, you're opening for Switchfoot. How's that?
Very cool. Very cool. So let's just dive into that. You guys are opening for Switchfoot. I'm 35. So that, it scratched an itch on my brain that I had I just immediately just of course, everyone, Meant to Live is I talked about how Shimmer by Fuel is in the DNA of every song
yes.
ever since that came out. I feel like Meant to Live is the same thing. But for me, Ammunition is totally my go-to for them. And I remember seeing them live when it's one of the first shows I ever went to when I was 13. So you guys get to open for them because of a tweet.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
It's wild, man. Same deal. I'm in my mid-30s too, and I don't think I would play guitar without that Meant to Live riff. Just literally the riff.
Yeah. Da-da-da-ba. But it's so flawless. It's so again, it's shoelaced in the DNA of all music from here on out. That is huge, perfect karaoke song.
It is.
It's so congratulations. That's so cool. Now, did they reach out to you just because of the tweet? And they were like, we checked you guys out. This would be sick. Yeah. Let's just do the thing.
Yeah. So, we heard from Tim Foreman, who is John Foreman's brother. Tim plays bass, on Twitter that day when we tweeted at him, and it was like, hey, I checked it out and I actually really do like this album. And we were, the group chat exploded. Freaking out, because we're all, my guy Nick Weber, who's in our band, grew up on both Switchfoot and Reliant K and saw them play multiple times, and we're freaking out. And then 2 months go by and we get this email from their booking people saying, hey, are you free on these 3 dates to play with Switchfoot? We thought it was a scam at first, and
I would too, man. My heart's beating of no, this is not real.
Yeah. We did some reverse engineering. We did some detectiving where we were like, okay, so let's Google this dude's email address. Okay, it looks like he works for that booking agency. Okay, it looks like on their website Switchfoot's listed as a client. Okay, this might be real. Maybe not. We got to be cool.
Just green flag after green flag. More chaos, more confusion.
Yeah. So it's I don't know when this will air, but we're playing with them in Denver, November 2nd, and then 2 dates after that in Billings, Montana, and in Salt Lake City. And it'll definitely be the biggest show. We're used to rooms of 100 sweaty kids, right? Uh-huh. And so the Denver show is sold out, and it's a 1,600 capacity venue.
No pressure, nothing serious whatsoever. Yeah. That's just thinking about that is giving me the absolute willies. That's the willies, dude. I don't know. Yeah. That's what a jump. Congratulations, first of all. That's it's crazy. I feel like there's always a moment where no one knows when you're in a band when that kind of next level happens, and it's again, the shoelace Twitter thing that just happened there is just it's beautiful. That's kind of how that stuff happens in the first place. Like, it's just wonderful. You have a bunch of just good news that has come out in the last little bit, including for phones with cords. So phones with cords is such an incredible project. So you're doing that with who else?
So Arthur from Phones with the dude's name is Arthur, and he plays his Phones with Chords. It's kind of like a Bright Eyes situation where it's like really a guy that plays as a band. He is the most ridiculous lo-fi songwriter and producer that I've heard in years. I just love his songwriting so much. There's like a melancholy to it and a funness to it. He'll make you like shake your ass and dance. And so I just connected with him over Twitter, man. It's like basically every good thing in my life right now in the music world is as a result of twitter.com.
It's really funny you bring that up because on like my second episode that I did with this, I talked with a really good friend of mine who does this project, Proud Scout, and he'd never done any Instagramming. Well, he did like a little bit, but he never did Twitter. And he was like, I'm never going to. And I'm like, I like grabbed him by the neck. And I was like, I don't know why it is, but we're all on Twitter just talking to each other. And it's like, there's hundreds of us that are involved in this thing. And it's like, I don't know what it is. Like, I found the Twitter thing like maybe a year ago when I was doing beginning 95 Corolla stuff. But like, everyone was on Twitter and that was like when Threads started. So I was like, I'm thinking about leaving Twitter. Wait. Every band is on Twitter talking to each other right here, right now. And literally, Denver emo band plays for OWLS. That's like, it's the way that you talk on Twitter is even very specific. It's so like, you kind of have like a HAL 9000 kind of thing going, which is so funny. And I was like, okay, cool. So everyone's funny on Twitter too, and everyone's got incredible musicians. And me joining all this stuff, I'm like super imposter syndrome. I'm like, I have to be funny and be a good musician now. I'm so fucked. But I get to like watch all you guys do this cool thing, and I'm like, listen to you guys' records. I found you guys because of the Celebration Guns split you guys did.
Oh love that band.
Holy shit, you guys are first of all two great different sounds that have like a really cool Venn diagram thing. Like you have like the voice of, I forget his name, but it's the guy from it's Beautiful Place, I'm No Longer Afraid to Die. Like you sound exactly like that guy to me. I was listening to that record today when I was like,
dude, that's high praise.
Dude, you sound just like him. And your 2022 record, it's just kind of sounds like that. It kind of sounds like, if you took the song, is it January 9th? If you took that song, it's like you guys kind of like, if you put that into ChatGPT and said, make a Denver emo band out of it, like that is what you guys, that's what happens. You guys were made out of that.
I will take that as a huge compliment. I love The World Is. That's a huge band for me. And it is, I mean, they're around the same era, like we're both in our 30s, right? And so even though we're starting to put out music now in what might be considered fifth wave emo or sixth wave, depending on when you like
I know.
Yeah. But like, I feel like an emo revival, like early 2010s sort of a person at heart. Right. And so, The World is a great compliment, man. That's huge.
Yeah, I really, really love you guys. It's been so nice to just watch you. Again, all the good news that is happening to you is like exponential and growing, and it's really cool and super deserving. So I wanted to ask you though, like I think that there's a lot of people and there's a lot of things that are happening in kind of our world that is starting to kind of break through into like mainstream media, like when it comes to like the merch cut thing and like Bandcamp and everything. So I was wondering, as like a little platform time, like when it comes to the Bandcamp stuff, there was literally a guy who I think it was the editorial staff, the news came out that he posted a thing on Instagram saying, he was a part of Bandcamp and, he was like, fuck Bandcamp United. And it was this really crazy thing that I saw this morning. So when it comes to like, do you think that there's a cross between like being pro labor and being in an emo band?
Dude, so it's wild because I think most of the connections that we've made in the sort of DIY and emo space, it's a lot of folks that don't feel like they feel understood in maybe their family of origin or the small hometown that they're from. And usually it's folks that feel more radical and maybe compassionate or progressive than maybe their parents do, or maybe the folks that they go to work with or whatever. So I do feel like that there's a special thing that happens in punk spaces in general and DIY spaces where it usually is a place of belonging and solidarity for folks that maybe they feel like a freak in other areas of their life. And, usually that means that, in those spaces, we're going to feel more progressive than a lot of other spaces. And so, yeah. And, there's a huge history of punk music and rock music in general. Is you're always trying to be on the bleeding edge of who feels the most left out and sort of like stepped on in normal culture. And how can we take care of those folks? And so, like, it's no surprise to me that that punk musicians and folks that are in genres that are punk adjacent, like emo, want to take care of workers. And most of us are making shit pay at shit jobs anyways, right? And so I don't think it's any surprise to me that that connection happens. Now, a lot of these situations are super flippin' complicated. And I only know a little bit about the situation at Bandcamp. In general, the sort of takeover by Songtraders seems bad.
I think that you just kind of like, I think that it's just like, it's like a blind person sensing a color. It's like, you can kind of tell like, okay, this is bad. There's nothing like, this is like knowing immediately. You could take someone from a completely different industry, read one of the headlines and they'd be like, yeah, this isn't right. Something's going on.
And it's wild because, without Bandcamp, I don't think I would be into half the bands that I love and now would absolutely like die for. And I know that there's a bunch of people that through Twitter and Bandcamp both who found out about our band, and we've developed a little sense of community and camaraderie and fellowship together. But it sucks that, I in general, I'm an optimistic person, even though I like have depression and have struggled a lot in life on a number of things. But I try to just stay like, hey, I want to assume that things are going to get better, because if I start to believe that things aren't going to get better, or the possibility of better doesn't exist, then, you might as well throw in the towel, man. And so it sucks though that both Twitter and Bandcamp seem to be going in horrible.
It's just like we're all here. It's the Titanic, and we're like, okay, well, let's just see where it goes. Like this is. I feel like that's why we're all staying, and that's like. Do you see like on the business side of the band stuff? Are you like thinking of like where you're going to put stuff like on the side?
Yeah, I mean. There's definitely places to sell merch and CDs and for people to buy digital stuff. And there's definitely places to try to build a community with other artists and creative people and fans and stuff like that. But until I feel morally skeezy continuing to use like a Bandcamp or a Twitter. I'm just, they're the most, it's like Spotify, right? Everybody knows that Spotify sucks. But if you're going to want to share a playlist with your friends, the main way that you do that is you build a set of songs on Spotify and share it with them.
That is 1,000,000% kind of the vibe. I specifically with like Spotify, like I think that I should finally make it clear, like, yes, fuck Spotify, like forever. Like, do I have to use it? Yeah. It's like Walmart or like toilet paper. It's 100. Let's just do the toilet paper thing. I have to wipe my ass with Spotify all the time, and we have to. That's great. I think it's just been really, really interesting just kind of watching all this stuff happen, specifically as I kind of started this podcast and started doing like the band thing. I don't know why. Did you do band stuff like in your 20s or in your teens?
Yeah, so I was in a ska band in high school. My last name is SOOY, SOOY. And we were called the Soybeans.
Okay, so my first band was the Fedoras. So like like ska and fedoras. Like we tried. Yeah, like I get it. There's a shoelace through line here. Everyone kind of got into that back then. God damn it,
dude. I know. And then we started listening to a bunch of Jimmy Eat World, and we're like, why don't we just sound like that, you know? And so So like towards the end of it, we were more trying to do emo stuff and just like rock and roll stuff. And then in college, I was in a couple projects. One was like a dream pop band that was called Amelia J. That's still on streaming. It's Amelia J, just one word. And then there was a surf rock instrumental, like post rock surf rock band, which that is still on Bandcamp, alaskawaves.bandcamp. And then my main project, though, that I wrote songs for with my buddy Lee was an emo band called Quick on My Feet. And so there's some EPs of full length that the three guys after I left the band that they did, that's on like Spotify. But there's like Emo Archive on I felt like the coolest guy in the world because Emo Archive put the 3 EPs that we did on their YouTube channel or whatever.
Yo!
And I was like, dude, I'm a part of the emo canon, you know, and those were like, it doesn't feel like a long time ago to me, but it was like 2008, you know?
Yeah. When you were into the electronic stuff, I'm trying to, you and I are kind of similar in age. Was this around the time, did you ever have like a Justice phase? Where, like, you were
absolutely.
So is that during the same time as like the Dream Pop thing? Okay.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. So Justice, Rat-a-tat, certainly Daft Punk, like all those guys were huge. And so, yeah, we did total, just like dreamy pop music.
Yeah. That was a really weird time with like, I think all of us, I think that was like when I was like in my early 20s, late teens, where that was like, no, I never want to pick up a guitar again. Like I only want to I want to get a Moog. I want to get like just synths and I want to play with MGMT. And that was like it. That was like the dream back then. But like, I didn't even bother doing music until like I was in my 30s. So that's really sick that you were able to do that. And where was
that's wild.
Was this in Denver that like you did all this stuff in? Where were you all at?
So all those projects were in Central Virginia. So you know the band Camp Trash.
Yeah.
So Keegan and I from Camp Trash, we've been friends for like almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And so we played in bands together in like Central Virginia and would play shows. So this was all those bands that I just listed were in Virginia. And then I moved to Denver in 2011 when my wife and I were first just dating. She was like moving out here with a group of friends and I followed her out. And then we got engaged and married shortly after. I worked for like nonprofits and it was like, this is my whole life. And I had no capacity to do music basically until like 2016, 2017. And then that's when a group of friends and so basically Jesse, who plays drums in A Place for Owls, he and I went on a hike when we were first becoming friends, because that's what you do in Colorado when you're doing a friend date. You like go on a hike or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, right. I'm not athletic.
Big tree times.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like huffing and puffing, but we realized that we both liked like not only Jimmy Eat World, but Mineral and American football. And a lot of the same like big Touchstone bands. And then we started jamming and I literally played one chord that was like the most emo chord that I've ever like come up with in my life. And he was like, oh, let's do that again. And that was basically the start of A Place for Owls back in like 2016, 2017.
Oh, wow. So this is like almost becoming like a decade band.
Yeah. So we jammed for a long time. We didn't play shows, just like, cause we're all like day job guys, and we're all wife guys. And like we half of us have kids, and, we're all in our 30s, except for Nick. Nick's in his 20s, but we're like, it was just kind of like a weekend warrior sort of thing for a while. And then we started writing songs that we were so stoked on, and started recording them ourselves, and expected no one to have any sort of resonance with it. And then right before that year I think 2022, when we were putting out the full length, that's when we got on Twitter. And then that's when people started paying attention, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, I like the journey. I think that maybe I also think about like there's a lot of karma and being like chill about your own music. So like, if you guys have come from like such a chill spot and doing this for like, I think I'm clear enough to say like, you guys have been doing this for the right reasons. There's never been a moment for like, you guys were doing this for like the money. This was you guys had the day job. This was, you guys are trying to just make some fucking music. And speaking of day jobs, you work for nonprofits. Is that what you've been doing for like the last little bit?
For like 10 plus years, it's been mostly nonprofit jobs, like environmental issues, working to help unhoused folks find stable housing, working to help refugees find like belonging in Denver. And then recently I sold out and got a job working for a business. I work for a screen printing company, a t-shirt company that makes like t-shirts, hoodies. And so what I like about that is it's band adjacent, because most of our clients are like rock bands or breweries or distilleries, weed shops in Denver, like that sort of stuff.
So that's so funny, because I want to talk to people about like their day jobs and this stuff. I want to make sure that everyone understands that like no one's doing this full fucking time. And I found that a lot of people are finding band adjacent shit. Like that's what like I think that the screen printing job is the best like side thing that I've seen, because it's the closest you can be that is like still in art.
Yeah.
Like still getting like that whole thing from like doing art and like helping people make art. And then also it helps your own band out, because you can also do all this other stuff. So how did you go from like nonprofit to that? Or were you always involved in screen printing? You just kind of
No, so I'm new to screen printing totally. So a dude that I just played in bands with in Denver, like we would hit, my boss now at the screen printing shop, it's called a small print shop. His band, A Mouthful of Thunder, and my band would just play shows together, and I loved his music so much. He's I don't know. I guess the simplest way to put it is he's like sad dad music, like Built to Spill sort of stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's called A Mouthful of Thunder. Check him out. But like his band always just was my favorite band to play with. And then I was in between jobs. I had sort of gotten really super burnt out on nonprofit stuff, and had just sort of quit with no real plan of what I was going to do for my day job. And
talking about like just like go for it.
Yeah. And so we ran into each other on the way to a mutual friends show in Denver. And I'm like chain smoking a pack of cigarettes and just being like in distress. And Steven, my boss now, was basically like, hey, why don't you, have you ever thought about the screen printing industry? And he basically like hired me on the spot. It was sick as hell. Yeah. So, it's been about a month and some change working at a small print shop now. And I love my team so much. And it's really cool to like start working with bands that I really like, not only in Denver, but across the country, relationships that we've built over Twitter, and start to do their merch. It's sick.
I love that. I think, again, the good news, like the stuff that has happened over like the last like 6 months for y'all has just been like, so cool. One thing after another. Now when it comes to like when it comes to jobs and all that stuff, is there, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, do you still see yourself being involved in the scene or still even be involved in a place for owls?
Yeah, man, I feel like I hope to how do I say it this way? So you can't make hardcore and punk music forever. There feels like there's like an expiration date on that because your hearing goes out or your voice goes out or whatever. Mm-hmm. But especially if you're on the more singer-songwriter end of emo, like you have the ability to make something that's acoustic and beautiful. It feels like there's no real expiration date on folk musicians. Like, Bob Dylan's still going in his 70s or whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And we just saw me and a couple of friends saw Peter Gabriel the other night, and dude, he's like 74 and his voice is still absolutely perfect. And his new songs are like just as good as the stuff that was on like his classic record with Sledgehammer and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I really hope to be like I'm already feel like an old head, but like I really hope to be like an old head doing emo music. But only God knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Like I look at kind of the scene right now, and it's just been such a wild time. I think this is the most hopeful I think the scene has ever looked. I think that maybe it's because of like, I keep looking at like Quinn from Twitter as like this guy that like,
what a sweetie,
what a sweetheart that it kind of embodies like this crazy hope for the entire thing. And like seeing Ben Quad blow up and seeing Mike blow up, it's been like, it's been so cool to see again all these people who I would consider like digital friends, like raise themselves up and people talk about them, and like seeing everyone in the Discord, Twitter, and like it's just been so much fun. Is there anything that like what are you looking forward to over the next year? Are you guys got anything planned? Are you guys writing more stuff? You got some like, it's very, very cool to see you guys doing stuff.
Yeah. So we just a month or so ago finished recording and tracking what'll be our second LP that should come out sometime next year. We're right now trying to figure out what the music industry in general is kind of effed in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And there does not seem to be a tangible bump to getting signed to a label anymore. Like it used to be like you could build a buzz, and I guess there's still labels like that. Like, I love all the bands on Count Your Lucky Stars. And so if like a band is on Count Your Lucky Stars, I'll be like, I'm going to check them out, even if I've never even heard of them or whatever. Or, Really Rad from Portland. We love Really Rad Records. And there's just like, there's just some questions about like, what is the benefit to an artist, especially if you are doing this DIY and grassroots and you're kind of building your own buzz anyways. Mm-hmm. Like what's the real benefit? And so we're trying to figure out, like, there's a couple record labels that we love, and we're trying to figure out, like, is that a good deal for us? Because there's hardly any money anyways from anything. Mm-hmm. But like, also, I really love, the band Equipment.
That fucking record, man,
dude.
It is like the only thing it's like you guys and Equipment and Thank You, I'm Sorry. It's the only thing I can listen to right now. That like feeds or like is grabbing onto me in such a way. Yeah,
dude. So Nick from Equipment, the main songwriter, he just moved to Denver not too long ago, and so we've started becoming friends. And I see they started their own record label, Kleptophase. Yep. And they have been killing it, absolutely killing it, not only with the Equipment stuff, but the band, a couple Ohio bands, other Ohio bands that they've put out on Kleptophase have just been amazing. And so that gives me a lot of excitement about like, hey, we could start our own, like basically Denver version of that. And if there's Denver emo or emo adjacent bands that we really like and we'd want to put out their stuff, and there's no money for anybody anyways. So why not just like start something that is more community focused and, like you said before, like kind of more in it for the right reasons. And so anyways, long answer to your question of, we've got this record, it's getting mixed, finished mixing right now. I think it's the best thing that we've ever done. Like, I really think it has more, the songs that were written for this record were written on the back of like the worst couple years of my life, where I was like really super burnt out of like the nonprofit stuff, but then also like, not to get too, real or whatever, but like my wife and I went through yeah. So like my wife and I were going through job transition. We were trying to start a family and we went through a miscarriage, and like, there was just so much shit that went on that was really just soul crushing. And the beauty of it is that I felt more connected with myself and my guys in A Place for Owls, and just the ability to like write songs that were like real. And so we're really excited about the songs, but we're just trying to figure out like how we're going to get them out there or what.
So I think that you've tapped into something that, first of all, thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's a lot of stuff, but that's us. It's very human what you went through.
Right.
Now, when it comes to the label stuff, I think that Nick is right. I think it's just like, when I look at a label is a person with a credit card. That's all a label is now. It's not about, they really can't do anything except for help make you fucking records.
Right.
Like get stuff pressed, get merch stuff. So it's like, if you find a group of people and you all agree, one person gets the credit card, you LLC, do the fucking thing, and then you start helping other people out. It just goes into a fund. You do this, and you can start doing a bunch of other goofy things, and like, you set rules for yourself. For like, I think there needs to be like, let's do a Midwest record. We can have Clip the Face be that one. You guys make the mountain version of that, and then there needs to be like the West Coast, like. I've always thought about doing the record label thing. We'll do one down here. We'll do the Southeast emo, Northeast emo, Midwest emo. We'll do the
right.
That's like kind of what needs to happen, because like there are good record labels, and but I feel like that they need to find their place in this world, and they're still trying to do like maybe an old way. Maybe there's still new ways. Count Your Lucky Stars is great. They put out a unfathomable amount of records. It's just that guy is from Mount Oriander is like insane. I think his name's Keith.
Yeah,
legendary. Keith is like the legendary guy, and he's like been doing this for such a long time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the future of like DIY, because I think that everyone's again doing it for the right reasons, and I feel like everyone's kind of getting together under that banner. And it's really, really cool to see. So what are you listening to kind of like right now? Like, what are some bands that have been like piquing your interest?
Yeah, dude, the new Awake But Still in Bed record is so good. Is absolutely just everything that I love about emo. It's like, it's honest. Sometimes, so I'm going to be totally real with you. Sometimes there's like a subgenre of emo where we're trying to be too funny. Like our song titles are jokes, and we're not taking this like anything seriously. And it's like, if there's, I think there's bands that have the funny song titles that do it really, really well, and they still take the music seriously. But there's like a LOL-ness to emo that like, totally. I'm like, feels disingenuous, where it's like, we're talking about the most tragic and real things in life, and we're making it all an effing joke. And it just doesn't make sense to me. And so what I like about Awake But Still in Bed is they just take themselves in the best way very seriously. It's like, they're so earnest, so hard on their sleeve. So I love that record that just came out this last week. There's a new record from Del Paxton, which is a Buffalo emo band that is just, it's called Autolocator. It's sick as hell. And then I got to shout out our boys from Aren't We Amphibians? They just put out an EP.
Oh, what a record. It's so good.
So good. So good.
Yeah. I think you're right. And like is like people have to toe the line of like, listen, how like, how jokey are we going to be? There's some parts of modern baseball where like, Jake is like, doing some weird stuff when it comes, he's telling jokes, but it's because that's how you process stuff. Some people process that way. But yeah, Are You Amphibians and like they're all towing the line in like such a good way.
Yeah, that's right. They'll still have the movie clip or whatever in there, and it'll still be like, oh, this is everything that I love about like riffy, yelly, screamy emo. But maybe it's that I know the guys from Aren't We Amphibians. It's like, you're so serious about your songs. You're taking it seriously. And this is not an effing joke to you or whatever. And so, I love that band. And I especially love when someone can pull off you got to do a little lightness to sort of measure the darkness to where it's not just all depression all the time, but like let's take the craft of songwriting seriously, and so those bands I think do.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna play a song from y'all. What song would you want to hear from anything that you guys have done?
Dude, you should play Deliberate Practice from the full length, the 2022 full length.
All right, so here's Deliberate Practice.
All people on earth from the cup we all sip.
that was Deliberate Practice by A Place for Owls. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Remember, DIY or die, and you made it to the end of the episode. Have a good one, everybody.